What's up, guys? It's Jughead here, just a down-to-earth guy trying to bring y'all some down-to-earth content. Welcome back to my Let's Watch Mob Psycho 100 series. Today, we're going to be watching episode 2, titled, I Have No Idea. I should probably have had that set up beforehand. It is called Doubts About Youth, the Telepathy Club Appears. I will say the Crunchyroll website and their UI is incredibly confusing. It is a maze. Just to find episode 2 was a hassle and a half. But I know I've neglected Mob Psycho for, it's probably been over 2 weeks now, and I apologize for that for people who have wanted to see me get through Mob Psycho faster or more so, because I've only posted one episode yet. But I just wanted to get like episode 19 and 20 of Hunter x Hunter were like super anticipated, like legendary episodes maybe of that series of where like this is where I fall in love with the show, so I want to get those out. And now I'm kind of chilling again, and I'm going to get back into Mob Psycho 100. We've only watched one episode so far, and I think episode 1 did a good job of just thrusting me into the show in terms of like getting the vibe of the show, the pacing, especially through the art style. Just like I even joked about it like last episode, if you have epilepsy, are you even allowed to watch this show? Because it was just throwing so many colors at your eyeballs and just sensory overload with your ears, your eyes, and just my brain was like going all over the place. But in terms of storytelling, it's interesting in that I was saying in my discussion that I hope the characters are fleshed out more in terms of like Arataka is not just the comic relief character, and Mob isn't just the no personality unstoppable force character. But as I was reading from the comments of everybody saying like you'll come to like appreciate the show has a lot of spirit, it gets serious, and it has an overall really good story. So I'm looking forward to getting into more of that, especially considering to pack in a compelling story in such a short series. I know there's 2 seasons, but each season is only 10 episodes, whereas like Hunter x Hunter has, 150 episodes, and it's not even caught up to the manga yet. I'm watching Dragon Ball on my own time, and there's I don't know how many episodes to that. Then you have Dragon Ball Z, then you have Dragon Ball Super, and then like Naruto has a bunch of episodes, etc. My Hero Academia, all those other shows, and then you have shows like Death Note and Mob Psycho that are very short, but if they can pack a compelling, engaging story in that time, that's super impressive. So without further ado, let's finally get into Mob Psycho 100 again, episode 2. So, Mob Psycho 100, episode 2 in 3, 2, 1, let's watch. So, a lot to remember from episode 1. Second year of middle school kicks off, so that is 7th grade, I think. People call it adolescence. So I think this will be important right here. They're making it very well known early on that adolescence is a key component to one's life, and I think that'll be integral to how they're gonna develop Mob as a character. And they're kind of describing that, from what I'm reading, because the subtitles go so fast, that Mob is going through this and he's very unsure with his life. But to continue, did I just see there's a curse of porn? What? I'm gonna mute this. It's a jam, I remember from the first episode, but I'm gonna mute this. So what I'm getting from the first part of like that opening is that it opens directly with them talking about this sense of adolescence, like the stage of going from childhood to young adulthood, because Mob is in his 2nd year of middle school, which would that be 7th grade if he's like 13, 14 years old? So I think I'm hoping because one of my complaints about the first episode was the fact that we're not getting, that I didn't really learn about the characters that much, especially Ma, because he's our main character protagonist. I want to devote myself to learning about that character the most. So if they're going to set this up about learning about Ma more as a person and not as a powerful psychic, that's actually very interesting, because that's what I'm interested in. I want to know him as a person. And even in our own experiences and mine, I know my time in adolescence was a very formative part of my life. It's when you want to be more independent, you start to try and define yourself. You start to, when I was like, ooh, I like girls and I want a girlfriend and stuff. And that's exactly what he's trying to do. He wants to have a girlfriend, but the lifestyle he's living right now, just reading his manga and wasting his time, especially working for Reagan, doing this shit. It's the title is called Doubt About Youth, so I think I'm on the right track here. They use illegal. So this guy's essentially addicted to porn, but they're gonna call it a porn curse. He's gonna lift the porn curse. Okay. Oh yeah, you get in there. You just giving him a massage? Again, oh man, I'm gonna have to talk about this in the discussion again. The animation is so fucking good, man. Like, you can feel it, like, oh my god. Dude, what? Why did a naked man with a rose covering his dick just go across my screen? Bruh. The animation, I don't want to say carries the show, but it, like, god, it's so fucking good. So, the porn curse was lifted. Massage fee. Naive mob. Ooh, what the hell is that? That looks good. Those meatballs? And little toothpicks? Seitai. So it's only effective because of spiritual power. See, oh my god, like, the color and the impact of the animation, it's like, okay, it's like, if I put this show on mute, I would know what's going on. That's what I would say. If I, like, turn the subtitles off and put it on mute, I feel like the show, I would still be able to understand it. Didn't have anyone else to talk to, so I was grateful because you teach me various things and pay me. Hey, he's giving into that manipulation. That's a tell sign of Reagan's manipulation. It's also interesting across different animes that purple theme backdrop is always used so heavily. Rather than waste my youth working part-time after school, I have a feeling there some other experience I can only experience. Yeah, exactly what I mean. Yeah, adolescence, when you want to explore your freedom, be more independent, define yourself, or find yourself, you know? But he doesn't know what he wants. And I wouldn't be listening to this guy. The Going Home Club. You're goofing off during the period. See, yeah, don't listen to him. Don't be lackadaisical. Go with the flow, and the flow goes with you, but have a path, and the right path. Now, what the hell is this? What club is this? They look like a depressing, sad little bunch. Telepathy Club president. Telepathy Club? Are they actual telepathics? Or just some phony shit? Who the hell is this? Student council. Ah, student council vice president. It's like I asked the questions right as they're answered. Damn, this guy throwing them out already? Okay, so is the Telepathy Club an actual telepathics? Because I'm still very confused on the fact of, like, bruh, if, like, people are aware of psychics and are aware that these supernatural powers exist. Like, I'm very confused by that. Like, are these people kind of like mob or just regular kids that are, like, playing with a Ouija board? I don't know. See, again, it could be on mute, and I know I can feel this person's emotions, but it's not on mute, and I can. The voice acting is so good too. I wanted to bring that up too, like them in conjunction together, the voice acting, the animation. God, oh, creepy. Duh. Nerd. She's ugly. Creepy again. Creepy again. Creepy again. Ugh. Creepy. 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 So I think the concession is that was that even the right word? Is that it's creepy. I want to know the animators for this show, man. Ah, the loner kid. Of course he's not in any clubs or anything. Yeah, he's basically right. See, I can already kind of sense it that what am I trying to say? They're just gonna try and milk it as much as possible. Yeah, President's pulling out all the stops to try and win him over. It's like they don't actually want Mob in the club. They're just trying to do anything they can to get a fifth member, which is also very manipulative. He's manipulated by Reagan, and then he can't even go to school and be with his peers, and he gets manipulated too. So this kid was sort of famous in grade school. You could bend spoons and make erasers move. What the hell's an Esper? So do they know exorcisms exist? Like, do they know ghosts are a real thing and that these people are real and shit? Or is it kind of crazy talk? I'm very confused. He has to ask Reagan for advice, like he can't just think for himself. But if I tell you to come immediately, you're not going to join. Yes. Shouldn't I keep the promise I made first? Yeah, you're asking the wrong man for advice. Yeah, see, Reagan doesn't really care about what Mob has going on in his own life. She must be trying to use Mob. Dude, you're using Mob. Forcing him into things is not good. Ironic. They're one manipulator against another manipulator. How fitting. Okay, see, again, this animation right here, if it was on... I know that they're butting heads. It's like a tug of war. And just put Gon right in the middle, then pulling his two limbs, pulling them on either side, and you can kind of sense that perfectly, that Mob is just caught in all of this manipulation. Just a whole bunch of narcissists, man. Fake tears. Even though he's a phony as well. Hey, he is saying facts though. Yeah, I feel like I'm trying to piece together some sort of theme or message here. Because I know, like, this is an adolescent time for Mob, and he's trying to find out what he should do with his life. Ah, see, he just wants to goof off. They're in middle school. The only time we're going to be able to goof off. Playing cards with us in this lazy little paradise. Yep, lazy little paradise. That is not what Mob needs, because he was just describing to himself that all he does is waste his time. You don't need to be doing this more. You can sense that he's really trying to piece this together in his mind on what he wants to do with his life. He's stuck in this fork in the road. Why is there a ponytail? And why are people why are they dressed up as girls? Private all-girls high school. Ooh, high school? Older girls? Mob is not good around girls? Ooh. Dude, shave your legs. You ain't passing for no chick. You perverted weirdo. Mob passed as a girl? Nice. Nice feminine features. G. Oh, go. Ooh, Mob has to do this all by himself. Mob explosion 35%. Okay. Mans is very uncomfortable right now. God, those little braided pigtails or whatever those are called are just very off-putting. Who are these bratty little kids? Thugs? Yo, chill. Relax. Why you have to be mad? What the hell even happened? I don't even what the hell was that interaction right there? Completely unnecessary. You don't need the Reagan guy. He's not gonna do anything anyways. Couldn't get his permission to come in, so he didn't have a choice. Ah, well. Hey. I would take him seriously. They tried so hard. They want to do business with you so much, they dressed up as girls. That's dedication. Vanishing, weird noises, poltergeist phenomenon. Fuck that. A bra started floating around the locker room. Ah, so another perverted spirit. Cool. See, so they're calling an exorcist. So do they believe in this shit? Like, or is it kind of like in real life where like people call exorcists all the time and get scammed? But this guy can actually do the shit. See, are you sure we can trust you? I have my doubts. You seem unreliable. Come on, gain that confidence, bro. Gain that confidence. I want to see this man thrive. Ooh, use your spidey senses. See, wondering if he's being serious. Like, do they know this shit is real? Something was here. Something was looking from the top of the... Oh, pervert, pervert, pervert! Who is this pervert? I can't take him seriously with those pigtails. Stop asking if you can trust him. You haven't even paid him yet. Doing all this shit for free. Uh-oh, the spirit's angry. Oh shit. Oh shit. What's he doing? Oh, he's trapped a spirit, okay. Okay. Let's watch this shit transpire. I found you. Oh shit. Oh man, he's showing himself. What the hell? So everybody knows they're real. Why is he wearing glasses? Try to ruin my paradise. So this guy's in paradise too. Why are they using the word paradise so much? I feel like that's important. That club described it as paradise. He's described as paradise. Yo, what a... Boom! Man's melted his arm off. I love the music that plays in the background too, and it's like such a... I don't even know how to describe it. Eerie, whiny sound. Like taking a bow across a violin or something. Ooh, what a alpha protecting the girl. Ooh, did he slice this motherfucker up? Oh yeah, he did. Damn, bro, and just not even looking, just the explosion coming in from behind his ass. What a G. If only if only people knew he was a boy. He's getting... What an ego boost. Yeah, see? Look at them cheering for him. Gain that confidence. Oh, what's this? How could I be defeated by a loser like you? And here I thought I finally found happiness. I love the way they make the spirits look. It's so eerie. Like, look at that! The way you get nervous around girls. You're playing the loser role in youth just like me. He looks exactly like Mob. That's symbolic. I finally started to have fun after I died. I was content. But I guess it's all over. The way they use the paint to, like, mask it over. Are you living every day to the fullest? Ah, so that's the theme of this episode. Is Mob living his life to the fullest? Is he on the right path through adolescence? Is he wasting his time with Reagan? Is he not pursuing the things that can make him grow? Is the way he is now is not going to get his crush to like him. It's not going to get him more friends. Blah, blah, blah. And he just needs to realize that. And this club is not going to help him either. Because you could see, all they were doing was eating junk food and fucking around. But I wouldn't be surprised if he joins because he wants friends. Who the hell are these guys? Buff-ass motherfuckers. The newly formed Body Improvement Club. Ooh, I like that guy's hair in the back. Spiky as hell. Body Improvement Club. Are you insane? What's he about to rip on this kid for? Yeah, he's about to be like, why the fuck do you want to join this bullshit ass club? That's the question. Do you have anything in your life that you want to do? Yeah, you don't even want to do it. You're getting manipulated. Everybody has to be faced with this question. Do you want to do what's easy? Or face your fears head on? Free yourself from the known. The only freedom lies in the unknown. What are they enjoying? Clubs, hobbies, and studying? Hanging out with girls might be fun. It is fun. This is his dream. I want to confess my feelings to my first love, Tsubomi, and hold hands while walking home again. This is his daydream. This is his potential. This is what he yearns for. Oh shit. Hey, keep your head up, King. Oh shit, this is sad now. Fuck her, man. You don't need her. You dropped your crown. But... Oh! What's he doing? Oh! Joining the Body Improvement Club? Is Mob about to become buff as hell? Oh, that's cool. They're hyped to have him. Dope. The other club didn't even want his ass. They're hyped to have him. That's cool. So, let's discuss. Before I start, I'll say I completely forgot there's a post-credit scene at the end of the episodes. I made sure to watch that after I stopped recording once I remembered. You don't get to see it, but just know that I remembered. I'm going to keep forgetting that. I'm going to mess that up for a few more episodes, so... But the post-credit scene doesn't really tell you much anyways, just leads you into the next episode, like what to expect. Though the one thing we did see was Raijin end up on the news for his dressing up as a girl escapade he got caught for, so nice for that. But first, very simply put, I was incredibly impressed with this episode, and I'll get into why. I must start my discussion again by saying this is possibly the most visually appealing work of art I have ever watched. Like, hits out of the park in terms of not just this episode, but the show in general. I think every episode is going to start off with my reverence, revering the animation and the art style in this show. The animators are so fucking talented. Like, actually... While researching more about the art style in the show, because I found it just so cool and interesting, I came across the word sakuga, Sakuga, which in Japanese generally just means animation, but many people use it to describe animation that is of great quality, above and beyond, and Mob Psycho tends to be associated with this word, and I agree wholeheartedly. The voice acting I've come to appreciate very much so as well, and these two aspects carry the show for me so far in tandem. They keep me so engaged with whatever is going on in front of me. The animation and the visuals sell the action, what's physically going on. It almost feels like tangible, like you can touch it. Like I said, I could have it on mute and no subtitles, and I think I'd be able to follow the show. And when the characters display all sorts of different emotions, anger, sadness, you feel it as you see it, and they make it so obvious to you. Like, you can see shyness, brutality, manipulation, tranquility, adrenaline, so much just be seeing with no verbal or audio cues. And then the voice acting sells the characters themselves. It doesn't feel acted out. It's just like, it just feels so organic and real. Like, whoever those actors are, they do an amazing job of capturing the characters and those said emotions with like really delicate nuance. So when you have these two things bouncing off each other, it's very entertaining and engaging, even if the plot itself would that makes everything move forward would be confusing or lackluster, which I would argue from the first episode was kind of like that. But this episode, like with conjunction with everything, I was very impressed with this episode. I didn't really know where to go with this episode because it kind of seemed more chill. But now that I've kind of got to start talking, like when you start your car in the winter and like let it sit for a few minutes so the engine can get warm. Same thing with my brain. I needed to start talking for a few minutes to get my brain juices flowing and get back in my element of discussing in depth. Because it's been a few days since I've done it, and because I was in like the mindset of Mob Psycho instead of Hunter x Hunter, and from the first episode of Mob Psycho I was like under the impression it's just going to be kind of chill. I don't really know how in depth I can make these discussions again compared to Hunter x Hunter. Like, I don't know how short or long they would be, but then after watching the episode and then even trying to gather my thoughts in my head before starting this discussion, that I realized, like in the back of my mind, I'm realizing a lot of positives in this episode and a lot of shit that I realize I have a lot to talk about right now. So I'm trying to capture all that right now. That's more than just like the bullet points I write out in my notebook to try and keep me on track. There's going to be a lot to talk about. So let's get into recapping the episode and mix in some talking points along the way. So, the episode starts off rather interesting, I'll say. Ragin is dealing with a customer cursed by porn. The man can't stop clicking on one-click porn, and of course he must be cursed, not just addicted to porn. Let's make the excuse that you're cursed. All doesn't make sense. His shoulder is cursed, but as we all know, porn causes pain in your hands, not your shoulders. Like, come on. Uh, Ragin whips out his specialty move, the massage, and starts giving this man an intense ass massage. This guy ain't really about it at first until Ragin works those magic hands of his and wins the guy over, lifting his curse. And Mob compliments him, but Mob also, you can see, starts to show these wonders and doubts over the life he is living. It's cool that the show goes from like such a lighthearted, funny comic relief scene and quickly jumps to a more serious note, just keeping you on your toes a bit to try and keep up, which I feel like I'm struggling to do already, trying to take in all the animations, all the sounds, reading everything on the screen, and trying to like uncover all the nuances and subtleties and the all the stuff that's more deep inside just what's on the screen. But what I mean by the shift to a more serious tone is that I appreciate that this episode makes sure to focus itself, put itself on some rails as opposed to the first episode, which helps both sides of the spectrum. The show I can see is trying to weave in and out of the comedy side and the character building side. And what I mean by this, and what I didn't really pay attention to in the moment and didn't really realize until halfway through talking a few minutes ago, is that this episode, right from the beginning, makes it apparent that Mob's transition into adolescence is the central focal point of the episode and the primary theme. And I predict where we will not only see Mob transform in terms of his physical powers and his capabilities, but I think all of that comes second after his main transformation, which is entering adolescence, the stage in one's life where you grow up out of childhood and into young adulthood. We get an impactful little scene here with Mob describing everything he wants out of life, his desires, pure or not, doesn't matter. They are what he wants. Mainly his desires for a girlfriend, his crush, I forget her name, Tsubomi or something like that. I don't know. It's going to take a while to get with these names. But all of these desires amalgamate into this sense of adolescence where you want to go out and do things, be your own person, be more independent, make new friends. You find out whether you like girls or boys and you pursue that for the very first time. Just a whole lot. I know my viewer demographic is around my age and older, so we all know what thoughts and feelings we had at around age 14 onwards. So it can be relatable. And Mob, he's just looking at his manga, symbolic because it mirrors his own imagination. His daydreams in that image of his manga signify he wants to live in an adolescent world of fiction. His daydreams, what can be also considered potential, is what I see it as, are far more enjoyable than reality. He is aware he is a powerful psychic. He literally has superpowers, and yet he is nowhere currently close to getting a girlfriend. And can be a powerful psychic, but he lacks many other interesting facets to himself. And him continuing on this path he is on, having no friends, no girlfriend, no hobbies, shy, lack of confidence, working at a cheap exorcism job. And again, you see him reading his manga, this path All of this stuff is not getting him any closer to those physical daydreams, those fictional daydreams he has, and which, like I said, and what he realizes is actually his potential. Isn't that what we daydream? Like, if you think of your own daydreams, you daydream of having a lot of money, enough to buy your own dream car, or um, driving home to your big house. You see the guitars behind me. I sometimes dream of playing the guitar so well, it's like I'm the best in the world. Our daydreaming is usually hyperbolized, or in other words, exaggerated for those that might not know what that means. But that takeaway, it's really just potential. And I could potentially play guitar so much better than I do now. I could be amazing if I practiced at least an hour or two every day. Maybe we can potentially afford our dream cars someday if we work hard to earn that much money. Not a shit ton of money, but enough where we're content. Same thing here. He can have these things if he tries, but you got to change. You got to break the status quo to even attempt that. And that's what he's realizing here, just beginning to. This is the most free he will ever be in his life to do what he wants. You can choose to goof off or grow, be adventurous, change, and define yourself. Don't waste that youthful energy of yours. So, right away, early on in the episode, we see a focus on Mob, more specifically his adolescence, and within that, the personal challenge he faces at this fork in the road in his life at this very moment. Choose to take the easy but shallow, unfulfilling path he is on now, or the rough, unknown path that might possibly allow him to achieve his dreams. Moving on, we learn about the Telepathy Club. The Telepathy Club loses a member, and what's his name? Hikaru, the student council vice president, comes to tell them that you need a minimum of 5 members in a club, or else they will be disbanded and the room will be given to a different club that meets all the prerequisites. And now they have to go find a 5th member by Friday, he says. And I think the girl's name in that group is Tome, Tome. I don't know if that's pronounced Tome. She's the leader, I guess, of the club, and she has herself and makes the 4 other people together try and find someone to join, but everyone turns them down, saying their club sounds dumb, sounds creepy. And one of them recalls that Mob isn't in any club. Of course, we already know that. And Tomei tries to convince Mob to join right then and there. They find him and try and convince him to join, but Mob, as we know, has other obligations. He feels that he has to call Arataka to ask him if he can be late to whatever they're doing later after school, because people are asking him to join a club. And you just see Arataka and Tomei arguing over the phone, and the animation in that scene, almost like a tug of war, enhances the scene even greater. Arataka tells Mob not to join, pretty much symbolizing like Arataka is making Mob's choices for him. And Mob decides to give it a day to just hold over and choose at a later date, procrastinates on it. And the one kid, I forget his name again, he tries to convince Mob one more time to join, saying the club they created is their own version of paradise where they just get to goof off. And that's important right there. So, my first question presented here and then later on as well, which I'll bring up even though it's out of order, is that I still don't understand if everybody is fully aware of psychics existing and their powers, along with all the other supernatural stuff that's out there, because people discredited the Telepathy Club because it sounded creepy or dumb, and think it's weird that Tomei seriously believes in telepathy. But isn't telepathy real? Like, doesn't Mob have ESP? Do I not understand ESP correctly? And if people know psychics exist, they should know telepathy and ESP and stuff are also real. But then the girls we meet later hire Mob and Reagan, but just like all the other clients, they aren't sure if they can trust them or not. Is like saying, is he a real psychic? Even though they're the ones who believe in ghosts enough to solicit their services in the first place. So, still not sure on this. If I can just get a clarification on that, that would be appreciated. But the scene here with the Telepathy Club is really interesting when you unpack it, which I'm going to try to do hopefully well and not shitty, because this is probably the most important part of the episode, if not one of the two, because the part after this might be more important if I figure out how to discuss it appropriately. So, as soon as you get introduced to the Telepathy Club, you can see how it metaphorically represents the path and lifestyle Mob is already on, the easy path. Just sifting around, eating candy and junk food, reading manga, goofing off, wasting time. The argument between Reagan and Tomei over the phone symbolizes that sentiment exactly. They're one and the same, essentially. They're both phonies, fakes who rely on their quick thinking and charismatic demeanor to get whatever they want. That's how Arataka got Mob, and that's how Tomei is trying to get him too. That's why I complimented the animation during this scene, visually looking like a game of tug of war. Just put Mob in the middle, being pulled on both sides, and you can see it perfectly. And they both want to manipulate Mob to continue their own lifestyle. Arataka needs Mob to maintain being a con artist, taking advantage of people's gullibility and using Mob as the backup when he actually does need a spirit exercised. And Tomei needs Mob only to bypass the school's rules and get a fifth member so as to continue their sad idea of what paradise is. So neither actually seem to care for him personally. For Tomei, that's evident, but for Arataka, I'm sure it's more complicated than that. But Mob, though, his personality makes it hard to tell clearly. Like, Mob doesn't seem to really care about or be devoted to either, which, why should he? But he also doesn't want to feel bad by letting either of them down because he doesn't put himself first, and that's kind of the problem with him. Mob already feels as though he's wasting his youth and his youthful energy working with Reagan, and is it even working with Reagan or is it working for Reagan? You could argue. He would be doing himself a great disservice joining the Telepathy Club because it would effectively be as though he has two Aratakas in his life now, not just one, instilling this wasteful youth. But the fact he doesn't say yes right then and there lends to the significance he could be changing for the better. So after that, Mob does end up joining Reagan for another client meeting. You see the two of them are dressed as girls because their clients are located at some private all-girls school, and Reagan couldn't manage to get them in just as themselves, probably because he's a phony and nobody wants to let him in. And they're walking on the school grounds and they're stopped at the gates by a guard who calls Reagan out immediately for being a pervert dressed up as a girl, and he doesn't let him in. While he lets Mob in because he manages to somehow pass as a girl. Mob's got them feminine features. Mob walks up the stairs, goes to the roof, gets yelled at by some thugs. I don't know what the relevancy that has. I'm kind of just ignoring it, but he meets the girls waiting for him. They were on the roof, who tell him of supernatural phenomena taking place at the school. They all go looking for it. Mob, with his powers, senses the spirit's presence, knowing it's inside the basketball gym. He works his powers and traps it inside with his psychic abilities, and this obviously angers the spirit, so Mob knows he has to deal with it soon, and the spirit shows itself inside the gym, and Mob just very easily and quickly defeats it. Pretty anticlimactic, but you get a meaningful interaction between Mob and the spirit when the spirit says, quotes, how could I be defeated by a loser like you? I thought I found my happiness. You seem similar to me. You get nervous around girls too. You play the loser role in your youth just like me. And you see the spirit's form turn from this abstract image to that of a boy who looks exactly like Mob himself, which is probably very symbolic. Um, and the spirit tells Mob he finally started to have fun after he died, but it's all over now. And the spirit asks Mob right before it disappears, "Are you living every day to the fullest?" And I think it's right then and there Mob possibly has his mini epiphany on the path he needs to take. And that entire sequence at the girls' school led up to that question asked by the spirit. I said that first part might be the most important. I think this right here is the most important because it's actually very interesting to see each sequence do a job at like separating itself to be like, okay, this is chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter blah blah blah, like paragraphs in an essay. Each part in the show is separating itself, and I just hit my funny bone that really hurt, but I'm going to pass it off. But each sequence connects directly to the previous sequence and the next. Like the scene about adolescence to the telepathy club to the girls' school, and then later on the end of the episode. The moment Mob steps foot on the school grounds, he is incredibly uncomfortable. Obviously, part of that comes up from just simply dressing up as a girl who wouldn't be uncomfortable doing that if they didn't want to. But his uneasiness stems from the basic fact that he is straight up just uncomfortable around girls. And now he finds himself at a school of only girls his age. That's like, holy shit. And it's in direct conflict with his immense insecurities and fears. But that uneasiness is good. He just doesn't realize it yet because this conflict can lead to your dreams. He doubts himself and shows his signs of he's incredibly awkward and he almost like displays this sense of shame. And those are the very challenges he has to overcome if he wants an opportunity at that dream of his. Like right here, when he defeats the spirit, it's the first time we see Mob happy. When he defeats the spirit and the girls have him pay attention to everyone around him cheering for him, he struggled against all that shit holding him back and it paid off. Like, whoa, what a surprise. And it wasn't easy to do all that, and it won't continue to be easy. Like you're still on the path, but Mob I think will see continuing payoffs if he continues on the right path and confronting what is hard. And something as simple as getting a girlfriend, this is the path Mob must take. And I think he realizes this in part, if not in full. And it all led up to that final question by the spirit, are you living your life to the fullest? And it's presented in a way for you to ask yourself that. And this is where I'm going to diverge and get philosophical here. This is me talking right now is why this is the most important part of the episode. I love talking about feelings and philosophy and the universe and life. So let's do that right here for a moment, shall we? Okay. Let me get ready for this. This is actually a very, very, very important lesson for everybody. That's what I like about this episode. It subtly conveys very important archetypal messages to the audience. And how do I explain this in my own philosophy and way of thinking? Okay. Obviously, everything you want is never going to come easy. That's very much apparent to all of us if we're all adults here and not blind. Everything you want to be won't come easy as well. If it was easy, you would have already done it and you'd have those things or be that person. If you are uneasy, it's because there's something wrong and you want change. But change is scary. It's unpredictable. The unknown. People don't like the unknown. The mind may succeed in making you intelligent, but it's poorly equipped to make you happy, fulfilled, and at peace with yourself. And isn't that what we all want? You know, this whole scene describes the essence of, okay, I'm going to get very symbolic and philosophical here. This whole scene describes the essence of alchemy. We all know the word alchemy, I hope. Like Merlin and King Arthur and ancient, not Harry Potter shit, but I'm diverging. The word alchemy. We all know the word alchemy. We think of it as magic, the act of turning base metal into gold. But few think of what its true symbolic understanding is. What it really stands for is turning human beings into gold, turning your base qualities of fear, insecurity, ignorance, hatred, doubt, and shame into the most precious stuff there is, love and fulfillment. And the secrets of alchemy exist to transform us mere mortal human beings from a state of suffering and ignorance to a state of enlightenment and bliss. And that's what Mob is going for. Alchemy is a quest, the hard path, like we said, Mob has to take and we have to take. And the quest is always for the same thing, perfection. Just as gold is the most perfect of metals because it can't be corrupted, perfection in yourself means freedom from that pain, that suffering, that doubt, that fear. The secret to alchemy is not how you look, but in how deep you are willing to look. And in Mob's case, it might seem very simple compared to what I'm talking about right here. He just wants a girlfriend, but this scene in this episode is meant to convey much heavier ideas if your mind is willing to go there. So remember them. I really appreciate films and TV shows that do this. Maybe you want a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Maybe you wish you had more friends. Maybe you really wish you could play an instrument or draw or have an interesting hobby or a passion. Maybe you wish you had that job, or you wished you were in better shape or had more money. There's always something holding us back from something out there. It is yourself that must constantly be transforming. You can't just bring your same stale self to the world each day and expect the world to be new for you. Kind of like, here's a good thing. Do you see yourself as a genius or a fool? Because the most brilliant human being on the planet is no different than the greatest fool as soon as both go to bed. They both dream the same fearful nightmares and worry about such things as dying. Fear is born with you, and you cannot enjoy the slightest pleasure without knowing that it will fade away. Happiness is fleeting, and all pleasure is fleeting. And why is, I said, the fear of dying, why is death such a huge fear for so many people? Because a life well lived exhausts itself. One who has lived life fully is willing to let it go. You can be satisfied with what you were. Very powerful coming from this scene we were just talking about, how that spirit had to die before having fun, instead of having that fun when he was alive and being able to move on from this world once he died. If you ask people what they regret, especially as they get older, what they generally say are things not done. You don't so much regret mistakes you've made, but obviously there are things you regret doing, but you don't really regret sins of commission or errors actively made. You torment yourself for opportunities that had presented themselves to you that you did not exploit or engage in. And that is exactly what this scene right here is trying to subtly convey. And this whole episode does a great job at that. Everybody should think about these things. This is turning into a philosophy podcast segment, and I would apologize if I was sorry, but I'm not. I love talking about this shit, and I think it's incredibly relevant, funnily enough, right now. Who would have thought with an anime? But, that's the beautiful thing, right? It's not okay for Mob to be weak, or you for that matter. It's not okay for you to be weak. The reason it's not okay is we could be way more than that. And that's a crime, an ethical crime, for us to allow all that necessary potential to go to waste. You are the transformation, the transformer, and the transformed. I don't know if you guys are religious. I personally am not. I am not a believer, but as a Westerner, there's no escape from the fact I'm conditioned from the Judeo-Christian worldview. It's no escape that I'm saturated in Judeo-Christian ethics. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think it had positive effects on me as a child. And though I don't believe in organized religion or God, I still value the archetypal messages and lessons different religions offer, and I take religion seriously, and I think that's why I can confidently assert my own opinions. But I approach it from a philosophical point of view, from Christianity, Judaism, Hinduism, Islam, Buddhism, whatever. But I'm going to take it from a Judeo-Christian point of view. The voluntary acceptance of adversity is crucial to your growth. Suffering And suffering is the same thing as a challenge. Like, not suffering as in like you're in pain, but suffering as in like you desire things. Suffering is the core to the mythos of Christianity, whether you're religious or not. It is an archetype one should follow. The idea that you should pick up your cross and stumble uphill. Carry your burdens voluntarily as you set your eyes upon some high level vision. We all got some problems. Let's do something about them. Remember, the most creative act you will ever undertake is the act of creating yourself. Create yourself, be happy actually doing something, and flow with the grain of life. That's the lesson we learned from this episode. So I think I'm done there. That's what I really wanted to get across. Remember what I said. So back to the episode, actually the end of the episode now, where it all culminates and comes together perfectly. Mob decides to join bleh. I'm surprised this is the first time I'm messing up this word. Mob decides to join Telepathy Club. Before he fills out the form that he needs to sign to become the fifth member, however, the vice president returns, since it's Friday, to show the Body Improvement Club the classroom for their club. The vice president sees Mob and confronts him, asking him like why he would join a club he isn't even interested in doing. And Mob thinks about what he just said, possibly also thinking about what the spirit told him as well. Thinking about a whole lot of things, because he decides he wants to confess to his crush and he wants to improve himself. And he shocks everyone by asking to join the Body Improvement Club. And everyone in that club hypes him up and he gladly accepts him. Hell yeah. What a plot twist. So good. You can almost call that a punchline. Mob's choice to join the Body Improvement Club was fantastically delivered. It's kind of funny once the scene happens at the end of the episode, all the characters are seen differently and you see them for who they actually are, good or bad. Like, you got some lazy club that does nothing but goof around and waste their youthful time. Tomei trying to manipulate Mob into joining the club for their own selfish reasons. They don't actually want him. They're originally portrayed or treated like the heroes or the good guys, whereas you had the vice president who appeared as this evil nemesis, but that was only because you were seeing him through the eyes of Tomei and the club. He's actually very fair and reasonable. He's very objective. He's just following the rules and wants the room and the school's resources to go to a club that deserves it. And he has the interests of others at heart. And even his advice to Mob was solid. Like, the scene in general was a very cool creative subversion of storytelling tropes. Like, but it still followed the buildup we had going on throughout the episode. It just was completely unexpected. The not so breakfast club that does nothing but fuck around trope. We've seen that a dozen times in cartoons, movies, and other shows. The group that gets saved from imminent collapse when all of a sudden the main character stumbles into joining the club, that acts as some sort of catalyst for all these wacky, goofy adventures for the rest of the series. It was predicted. Like, it was like actually perfectly laid out to occur exactly like this. Like, I was expecting him to join the Telepathy Club. And even though everything was foreshadowing or telling him not to, and when Mob chooses to join the Body Improvement Club, he is embracing those messages the episode has been pushing that entire time. Just a great wild ride until the end. Solid character development as well. Really good in tandem. So really liked how focused the episode was, and how mob-centric it was. Because previously, I was complaining that there wasn't much in terms of character development, and that was kind of disappointing. And for the protagonist and your main character, you want to learn most about him. So this episode, I think, has sold me on the show. Now I'm eager to continue it. That's why there was like a 2-week gap between episode 1 and this one. Because Hunter x Hunter, especially with episodes 19 and 20, and the Hunter exam arc now over with, it was just so much more compelling at the time, and I just really wanted to watch that. While episode 1 of Mob Psycho was cool, but didn't have me yearning to watch episode 2, So I kind of just took my time until after I uploaded more Hunter x Hunter, and now I'll be prioritizing Mob Psycho more alongside Hunter x Hunter. But yeah, overall, I'm sold on the show now. So that's all I got for my discussion. On to the next. If you enjoyed the video, leaving a like to let me know is awesome, and if you want to keep up with all future content from me, be sure to subscribe to stay in the loop. Keep the conversation going down in the comments so I can connect with y'all more and build this community. That's the most important thing to me. Check out my Instagram for my photography and a more personal side, and follow me if you'd like. Having said all that, and with that said, so long, farewell, until next time, thank you, be happy, and I hope you have a good one. Peace.